Hello, Mike Matthews here, and welcome to the Muscle for Life podcast. This episode is an interview with the one and only Hafthor Bjornsson, who is, at least as of, June 11th, the strongest man in the world. And I say that because the world's strongest man competition is coming up in the next couple of days, and we'll see. Hafthor is going to be defending his title. And in this interview, Hafthor gives us a behind-the-scenes look at what it's like to be him, a 6'9", 420-pound man who can squat, deadlift, and bench press over 2,500 pounds. Yes, that means that he pulls over 1,000 pounds, he squats nearly 1,000 pounds, and benches in the mid-fives. And as I just mentioned, Hafthor is also the 2018 champion of the world's strongest man competition, and I hope he's the 2019 champion by the time this podcast goes live. And that means that he does rather incredible feats like lifting 5 large stones ranging from 220 to 350 pounds onto columns that are the height of an average man, pulling gargantuan objects arm over arm using a rope like planes, boats, cars, and giant tires, and carrying a 900-pound yoke made of 2 refrigerators across a 30-meter course in under 60 seconds. Now, you probably already know this, but Hafthor also played Gregor the Mountain Clegane in Game of Thrones. May he rest in peace. And in this interview, we talk about things like how he is training right now to defend his world's strongest man title, how he manages his recovery, what his diet looks like, what supplements he takes. Spoiler alert, they're all Legion. His favorite Game of Thrones experiences, how he has dealt with injuries in the past, what his long-term aspirations are, and more. As a genuine Hafthor fan, I had a hell of a good time talking with him. Really enjoyed the discussion and where it went and the information that he shared, and I hope you enjoy it as much as I did.
This is where I would normally plug a sponsor to pay the bills, but I'm not big on promoting stuff that I don't personally use and believe in, so instead I'm just going to quickly tell you about something of mine.
Specifically, my 100% natural fat loss supplement, Phoenix. It has sold over 100,000 bottles in the last several years, and it helps you lose fat faster in 3 ways. 1, it increases your metabolic rate. 2, it amplifies the power of fat-burning chemicals produced by your body. And 3, it increases the feeling of fullness from food. In short, it speeds up your metabolism, it helps your body burn fat more efficiently, and it helps you control hunger and cravings and maintain high energy levels. Phoenix also contains no artificial food dyes, fillers, or other unnecessary junk. And all that is why it has over 700 reviews on Amazon with a 4-star average, and another 250 reviews on my website with a 4.5-star average. So if you want to burn more fat every day and have an easier time sticking to your diet without having to pump yourself full of harsh stimulants or potentially harmful chemicals, then you want to head over to www.legionathletics.com and pick up a bottle of Phoenix today. And just to show how much I appreciate my podcast peeps, use the coupon code podcast at checkout and you will save 10% on your entire order.
And lastly, you should also know that I have a very simple 100% money-back guarantee that works like this. You either love my stuff or you get your money back, period. You don't have to return the products, you don't have to fill out forms, you don't have to jump through any other hoops or go through any other shenanigans. So you really can't lose here. Head over to www.legionathletics.com now, place your order, and see for yourself why my supplements have thousands of rave reviews all over the internet. And if for whatever reason they're just not for you, contact us and we will give you a full refund on the spot. Alrighty, that is enough shameless plugging for now at least. Let's get to the show. Hafthor, I have the world's strongest man on the podcast. I'm excited because I'm honestly a fan of yours. So
thank you so much, man. It's great to be finally speaking. I'm a fan as well. I've read your books. They're quite interesting, It's awesome to be finally speaking.
Yeah, thank you for taking the time and figuring it out with your schedule. You've been traveling a lot, right?
Yeah, I've been busy with traveling and all kinds of work, but right now I'm staying home and mainly just 100% focusing on World Strongest Man, where I'll be competing to try to defend my title in June.
Yeah, a couple weeks away, right?
Yeah, 13th of June it starts. So yeah, very close, like 2.5 weeks away.
That's my birthday.
Oh, that's awesome. That's cool.
So you're going to do great.
Yeah, definitely. 100%. Yeah, that's awesome. Well,
Yeah. So I'm curious, what does your training look like in preparation for one of these events? How do you work it in terms of, I mean, you can go into as many details as you want, really. The people listening are pretty familiar with periodization and how you regulate volume and intensity. I'm just curious myself. And how do you prepare yourself for what is, I mean, I'm assuming that you're working up to essentially like this is your maximum capacity in one of these events, right?
let's just start, Tommy. Like I train 5 times a week and I do pressing actually twice a week. Do overhead and back exercises together. I'm squatting once a week and deadlifting once a week with a lot of obviously accessory workouts in it as well. But with strongman, what takes the most time, and I'm usually in the gym roughly about 2 or 3 hours. The reason why I'm so long is because the setup of the equipment, put it back and everything. It takes longer than just bodybuilding, where you can just walk up to a machine and do your 12 reps, 4 sets, and then you go up to a next exercise. Strongman is a lot like the equipment that we use, the log, the big tires that you have to flip, the farmer's walk. It takes time, and that's why my exercises can sometimes take up to 3 hours. But sometimes I might even split my sessions up to two parts because I don't like to train that long. So let's say if I feel like it's going to take even more than 3 hours, then I will definitely take a break. I will train for maybe a 1.5 hour or two, take a break, eat, and come back and finish my session. And when I'm training heavy, let's say if I'm doing heavy sets of deadlifts, I can rest up to 10 minutes between sets. There's a lot of rest, but when you're trying to maximize your strength and when you're going up to like 400 kilograms, I find that 8 till 10 minutes is the best way for me to get maximum strength.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, my version of that is maybe lifting 400 pounds and resting maybe like 3 or 4 minutes in between sets. When you're working up in terms of intensity, in terms of load, the amount of weight on the bar, are you setting PRs normally in the gym or is it usually at events where that's where you're going for your best?
It usually happens in events. I want to peak when I compete. But like if it happens during my preparation, then that's just a good thing. And it might happen, like let's mention that again. Like I might do a PR once or twice maximum a year. It doesn't happen more often than that. Then I just do my PRs in a competition. This year I did a PR before Arnold Classic in Columbus, Ohio. In my training session, I went up to 470, I believe, 2 kilograms or three, something like that, 473 kilograms.
And just for people listening, that's 1,040 pounds, give or take, depending on if it's 3 or 2. But
Yeah.
that's it's a small car.
Yes, yes. So I went for a PR there, and the only reason I decided to go for a PR because I knew I had more than a tank. I would never go for a PR if I thought I was going to fail. Failing is not an option for me. I want to build so much confidence in myself that I honestly believe that I can lift anything. I train that way that I never really fail in my sessions. I always get stronger and stronger each session. But I've trained like this for years now. I work with Sebastian Orup, who's a great coach from Australia. And yeah, I'm getting stronger, each year. I'm currently the world's strongest man, and I can't complain.
You're always, or most always, doing submaximal training, so you're not pushing yourself to even the point of technical failure where your form starts to break down.
I mean, that happens, of course, like for example, today I was doing 2 sets with 177 kilo log for 3 repetitions to work on my shoulder power. On the second set, on the second rep as well, I lost the balance and I fell back. That's okay. That happens, I'm not perfect and I make mistakes in training. I just decided after that set to say that's it. I'm not gonna be annoyed that I didn't finish my set completely. I make mistakes like everyone else. I lost my balance. That's fine. I'm gonna step away and now finish my other exercises. I'm always trying to improve every way I can, basically. And I make failures like other people, even though people might not see it because of Instagram these days.
It doesn't make the highlight reel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. But in terms of your programming, you're generally not trying to take your heavy sets to either technical failure or muscle failure. You always have at least a rep or two in the tank.
Definitely, 100%. I'm always like pushing myself very hard, but I'm always improving. But I'm making sure that I have at least something more in the tank.
Yeah, that makes sense. And that's generally a good practice, even for people who are just bodybuilding, especially with the compound exercises, because it can even just be dangerous for an everyday gym goer to put a bunch of weight on the bar and squat until they can't squat properly anymore. It's generally smart for everybody to end most of their sets. I mean, sure, if you're doing some bicep curls, right, I guess it doesn't really matter. But on the big exercises, at least that's what I've always recommended and I've always done myself, at least over the last several years, is always leave a couple reps in the tank, one or two usually.
Yeah, I agree. Of course, in the bicep curls or like bodybuilding and strongman or powerlifting, there's three different things. You can't compare it. Three different sports. People train differently, All bodybuilders don't rest for 10 minutes between sets. I don't rest 10 minutes between sets. It's just when I'm doing really, really heavy squats and when I'm doing maybe a very heavy deadlift. That's like my maximum rest between sets, 10 minutes. When your load is this much, when you start to squat or deadlift more than 400 kilograms, you have to give the body more rest time. Be doing a program for, let's say, I would never put that in your program, resting 10 minutes or 8 minutes. That's too much for you. Your load is less, and then therefore your training is different.
Yeah, totally. For me and for most everyone listening, in between set rest on the big, heavy, like squats and deadlifts, mostly probably 3 to 5 minutes is reasonable, I think, for most people, depending on, how you feel. Hey, quickly, before we carry on, if you are liking my podcast, would you please help spread the word about it? Because no amount of marketing or advertising gimmicks can match the power of word of mouth. So if you are enjoying this episode and you think of someone else who might enjoy it as well, please do tell them about it. It really helps me. And if you are going to post about it on social media, definitely tag me so I can say thank you. You can find me on Instagram at Muscle for Life Fitness, Twitter at Muscle for Life, and Facebook at Muscle for Life Fitness. What have you been working on in your last training block or two to improve on? Like, are there any weak points that you feel like you've been trying to address or?
Yeah, so I'm always trying to get better. I'm always trying to find weaknesses where I can improve something. Now, lately, is stretching, where I go and I meet a person 3 times a week and I'm stretching. I'm just doing a stretch session because I feel like I'm a big guy. I weigh 200 kilograms and I'm 205 centimeters tall. And my flexibility isn't the best. And I believe with a better flexibility, I can perform better. I can recover, perform exercises better if I'm more flexible. So I did that this year and I definitely have better progress with that added in my routine. But I do a lot of other stuff. I do hot and cold therapy a lot. Do graston. Do you know what graston is?
No.
It's like scraping.
Okay. Yeah, I've done that before. Like a metal, almost like a shoehorn.
Yeah, I do that approximately twice a week as well. There's a lot of things that I do outside the gym that makes me this level I am today.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it helps, I'm sure, with recovery, right? It just helps you be able to keep on pushing harder and harder in the gym.
Yeah, and that's the main point. I want to recover as fast as possible so I'm able to go to my next session and push myself to the absolute limit, at least as far as I can, without going to failure.
What do you do for hot and cold therapy?
I do it for recovery and to strengthen my immune system. I've been doing it for years now, And I do it at least 3 times a week, up to 5 times a week, sometimes every day. And I do 3 to 5 sets as long as I want to in the hot tub. And then I just take like 2 minutes, 3 minutes in the cold.
So is it ice water cold, 50 degrees water?
Yeah, it's pretty cold. I feel like if I don't do it, I've done experience with it on myself. I've tried to not do it for a week or 2 weeks. In those 2 weeks when I didn't do it, my body was aching everywhere.
Really?
The soreness was just unbearable. So I just had to start doing it again. And when I doing it, I'm barely sore. I just feel great.
Interesting. I know there's a bit of research on cold baths in particular, and there's no question that if the water's cold enough and you're willing to submerge yourself, in the studies that I'm thinking of, there were a few where it was submersion up to like the neck, basically. So it's more or less the whole body submerged for, I want to say, around 5 or 6 minutes, that it does markedly reduce inflammation. So, but most people, like, cold showers are kind of a trendy thing. I don't know. It was maybe trendier a year or two ago when Wim Hof was kind of making the rounds in the media. And we know that cold showers, although they're cold, I've been doing it for a while just because it wakes me up in the morning, and I don't know, it became a habit, but it's not the same. It's not the same like what you're doing if you're sitting in a freezing cold bathtub, most of your body submerged for several minutes. That's likely to make a difference with inflammation. But if you just took a cold shower for a couple minutes, it probably wouldn't make much of a difference. I don't know if you've tried both, but the ice bath is just that what most people are not willing to do. Like, they might be willing to get into the shower for 30 seconds, maybe 60 seconds, the end of their 10-minute hot shower, but to go into the bathtub with a bunch of ice in there and just sitting in there for 5 minutes, not so much.
Yeah, I agree. And what you mentioned with inflammation, that's another part that I forgot to mention. It helps a lot with that as well. With heavy training, you tend to get sore elbows, sore biceps, sore knees, a lot of inflammation going there. So doing the hot and cold, I feel it helps that a lot as well. But I think it's also a mental thing, and you get used to it. It definitely makes you tougher on the long term. So I do it also for that. I don't want to do it always. I might be feeling tired or just like, oh, I'm not up to this. It's fucking cold. I don't want to feel miserable, but I do it because I know I'm going to feel better afterwards.
Yeah, I mean, that's also one of the, I'm just doing showers in the morning, but there's some mornings where if I didn't sleep well, it seems like some of those days my body temperature is naturally just lower, and I'm like, God, I don't want to get in there. And I live in Virginia, so in the winter, it gets cold. It's probably the exact same what you'd have over in Iceland in terms of the water temp. It's like in the 50s, but I think there is something to be said for just doing it anyway and doing it for that purpose where it's like, yeah, I'm going to feel better after. You have plenty of those situations in life, right? Where I don't care how much you like your job, whatever you're doing with your time, there are always going to be things that you need to do that you don't really want to do. So I think there is it maybe helps you with that mental edge, at least a little bit, where you get used to just forcing yourself to do something that's going to be good for you, that you should do or you need to do, but you don't really want to, and just being able to override your feelings, basically, right?
Yeah, 100%.
I'm sure, like, when you're stepping up at the Arnold, right, you pulled, what was it, 1,046 pounds for the record, right?
Yeah, I use kilograms, but yes, 1,042, I believe.
Do you even get a little bit of that, like, I don't want to step up to 1,000-pound bar and deadlift it, or like my body doesn't want to, but I'm doing it?
I'm super pumped. I'm super excited for like lifts like that, and I honestly believe in myself 100%. I've told myself like probably like billion times before I'm doing that lift that I'm gonna lift that lift. I've decided to lift that lift a year in advance. I decided to do a record a year in advance. Like when I did the record year before, I decided that I was gonna break that record again next year. So like I've had a lot of preparation, and with preparation, when everything goes 100%, when your diet is on point, when your sleep is on point, when your training is on point, when you just don't cheat, you just like you're working hard, very consistent with everything in life. Like I never have doubts. I just know that I did put in the work. When I'm approaching the bar, I know I'm gonna lift it.
I could see that. It makes sense. Like that point that you just said, where you've put in the work and you've done everything right. And so you have no reason to doubt yourself, right? And you just know that.
I've been in this sport now for 10 years. I've learned a lot.
What are some of the big lessons that you've learned?
The biggest lessons, stay humble, stay hungry. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. It's just like you never know enough. You always can become better. The moment you think that you're the best or think that you can't improve or think like you have that attitude, that's the moment when you stop improving. And I mean, I had those attitudes along the way, and I've learned a lot throughout my years. I have a different mindset these days. I just know that I can always improve if I'm willing to put in the work. And I know I have to put a lot of work in it. But that's with everything. If you want to become best at something, you have to sacrifice things and you have to put in the work. If you're cheating, you're just cheating on yourself.
Eventually, either it's a major fall from grace, or maybe it just slip in your performance, or maybe it leads to injury or whatever. I'm sure with what you're doing, you have to have all of your recovery protocols in. You have to make sure that you're managing your diet correctly, your sleep hygiene. It's not just like, oh, you've put in so much work that you can kind of just coast. You have people that are always trying to knock you off the throne.
Yeah, of course. There's all the people that want to be the best, and all the guys that are training their asses off and doing everything. I think it's more difficult to stay the best. When you're at the top, you have to be very hungry and so obsessed to stay at the top. And I'm that right now. I'm so obsessed when it comes to being the best I possibly can. Like, I'm willing to do anything to win the title this year as well. And I'm doing anything in my power to win it. For example, I haven't mentioned that this yet. I'm taking 3 till 5 minutes walks throughout the day for my digestion, so I can eat more throughout the day, so I can finish my 6 meals a day. I never skip my meals. People fail a lot, I think, is with their diet. They tend to get tired or just lazy.
Or just burned out on eating, right? Like, what does your diet look like right now in terms of calories and macronutrients?
I don't count the calories or the macros. I know roughly I'm eating 200 grams of ribeye steak. I usually eat ribeye steak. It's higher in fat. I actually grind it and then I make burger patties. Then I grill it. The reason why I grind it is because it's easier to digest and easier to eat. When you're eating 6 times a day, you have to think about those things as well. Like, what food can I eat that's easy to digest and easy to eat? If I would be eating a ribeye steak every 2 hours, it would take a lot of chewing.
The world's strongest jaw.
Yeah, the most of it saw. I would be very tired in my job with doing that. Like, basically, if I'm gonna run through my diet, when I wake up, I have 6 eggs, 6 pieces bacon, bowl of rice, the spinach in it. Then the next 5 meals are usually ribeye steak or any other meat, but usually ribeye steak, grinded into patties with rice or potatoes. If it's rice, it's usually with spinach. If it's potatoes, I eat the skin and everything. And then I have carrots, peppers in my meals as well. And I snack on like tomatoes throughout the day. I drink like a glass of orange juice with each meal almost. I'm a huge believer in potassium. That potassium can improve your performance, improve your strength.
And many people don't get enough. That's a common micronutrient deficiency. I mean, the standard recommendation from the Institute of Medicine is between 4 and 5 grams a day. That's just like a normal everyday person. And most people get maybe half that, maybe.
Yeah, maybe that, not even. I think for females, it's like 3 or 4 grams, and for male, it's like 5 grams a day. I try to never get less than 5 grams a day.
Do you supplement, or are you getting that amount from food? Because it's actually kind of hard to get from food if you don't pay attention.
I do get a lot from potatoes and spinach and tomatoes, and there's obviously the potassium also in orange juice, in steaks. What I've been doing as well, I drink coconut water. That's very high in potassium.
I'd have to Google it.
Yeah, actually, like I drink maybe 1 liter of coconut water a day.
Oh, coconut water. Sorry, I misheard you. Yeah, absolutely.
That's like 2 grams of potassium just in that, almost 2 grams. So that's a lot of potassium.
Do you like bananas? Because bananas are like I'll eat 1 or 2 bananas a day.
Yeah, I actually do eat like 1 or 2 as well, and it's high in potassium as well. It's funny how we can maybe like sometimes forget. Like, yeah, I eat this as well. Oh, I eat half a banana. Like these small things that you call snack.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do. I do try to have a count on my potassium intake and roughly like 5 grams a day.
Yeah, that makes sense. What's your sleep hygiene like? How much sleep do you get? Do you have a very specific routine? Do you go to bed at the same time every day?
Yeah. So I go to bed usually almost every night. I don't want to go later than 11 p.m. and try to get at least 8 hours every night. If I wake up earlier, try to fall asleep again and try to sleep like at least 8 hours for maximum recovery. But if I wake up and I just can't sleep more, I always just wake up and I have breakfast.
Yep. And have you tried sleeping more than that? Because, there's some research out there. I think of one study it was done with basketball players and increasing their sleep from 8 hours to 10 hours a night markedly improved. I think it was their accuracy, either on free throws or 3 pointers. I don't remember. It was a couple years since that study came out, but there were a couple other similar studies. The takeaway from the few studies out there on the benefits of getting a bit more sleep than even would be normally recommended is just that it improves performance, basically.
Yeah, I would if I could. I just can't sleep more.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I've always been that way.
I do try to take naps, at least one a day. I'm never able to take 2 naps, but I try to get at least one time like a nap for 20, 30 minutes.
My sleep has been on and off since my kids. I know that's pretty normal, I guess, because I was a deeper sleeper before I had kids, and now I tend to wake up easier. And
Yeah, I think that's normal. Do you get 8 hours every night?
I try. I'm in bed for 8 hours. So, like you, I usually go to bed around 10, never any later than 11, but I would say between 10 and 10:15. My alarm's at 6. And these days, I'll usually wake up probably at least once. And some nights it's just bad and there's no real explanation for it. I'll wake up a number of times. Last night was just not good. I don't know why, but I'm not too concerned about it because I'm doing everything right. There's nothing else that I can do physically to try to sleep better.
Quick question. Have you tried the supplement Lunar from Legion? I find that's been helping me a lot.
I have actually, and whatever is going on is too strong for any supplements because there's just no real correlation, between taking supplements and sleeping better or taking supplements and not sleeping better. So melatonin does seem to help a little bit, so I know that. But I'm not too concerned about it again because I'm doing everything right that you're supposed to be doing. And it is pretty normal, I guess, when you have young kids to just naturally be a worse sleeper. There's also, I don't know, over the last couple of years, as the businesses have grown and the problems have grown, I guess maybe I've been impacted probably by life stress to some degree as well. Have you run into that? I mean, just with the amount of training that you're doing and the amount of travel that you do, and just the bigger everything gets, the more, of course, exciting it is. But at the same time, I feel like, I don't know if you've experienced this, but it takes more, not necessarily effort, but it can be easier, I guess, for me at least, to get a bit more quote unquote serious. It becomes a bit harder to maintain a kind of carefree, not careless, not like I don't care, but more just carefree and not particularly, worried about things. And it just felt like it was easier to just focus on the work and just keep on going when things were smaller. That's how it is for me, at least.
Yeah, of course. When I think if I think about 15 years back, I never had a problem with sleeping and I just slept like a rock.
Yeah.
Nowadays, with everything going on, like you said, with your company growing and with more things going on in your life, it gets harder, and I ran into that as well. But overall, I'm quite happy with my sleep at the moment. It could be better, it could be worse. I do wake up at least once, sometimes even more, up to 3, 4 times. That's very annoying if that happens, but it does happen. But that's just life with everyone. People have their own problems. Everyone has something on their mind that is maybe affecting their sleep.
Totally. Do you have any sort of maybe routine or specific things that you like to do at night to help you relax?
I try to stay off my phone when it comes close to bedtime. I put it away. I don't sleep with it in my bedroom. I try to have my room as black as possible, and I actually sleep with a CPAP machine, and that helps me a lot. After I got used to using that, my sleep become a lot better. My sleep has actually improved a lot. Like, it started to improve late 2017.
Since you started sleeping with the machine.
Yeah. Well, actually, I've had it for years. I just never got used to it. But I knew if I would get used to it, it would improve my sleep a lot. I forced myself. Actually, my wife, she helped me a lot. One day I just told her, babe, can you just please tell me, like, if I don't sleep with it, I snore. That bothers her sleep as well. So I just told her, like, babe, if I take it off and you hear me snore, can you just please tell me to put it back on? Because, like, when you're half asleep, you can't really think, you're just, like, trying to sleep. So she started to do that. And then that's the time when I got used to it. And then my sleep got improved and everything improved. And I started to win everything. I won everything since. I won everything back in 2018. I won everything this year. And it's like, with my sleep improving, like everything got better. Like my mood is better. Everything is just better. My strength is improving. It's just awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, sleep is the ultimate biohack. You know, I'm not a fan of that term and I'm not a fan of that whole trend. But if you want one weird trick to improve literally every aspect of your life, anybody listening is try to sleep as well as possible. It doesn't mean that you necessarily have to sleep 10 hours a day, but if you can just be in bed for, let's say, anywhere between 7 and 8 hours and have good quality sleep. Yeah, I know exactly how that is on the days, especially since over the last couple of years where my sleep has been hit and miss. It's now especially clear to me because previously I would just sleep good basically always. And so I just took it for granted. I didn't really realize how big of a difference it makes in everything inside and outside of the gym.
Yeah. And one tip for people out there listening, easy tip that people might not really, I can probably guarantee that a lot of people do this all the time. They take their phone to the bedroom and they lay in bed, and all of a sudden an hour has passed and they're in their phone texting someone or sending an email or doing something, Instagram, for example,
Watching videos of you training.
Yeah, for example, if you want to improve your sleep, put your phone away elsewhere, not in your bedroom. Don't take it with you in the bedroom. When you go to sleep, just go in the bed, lay on it, and go to sleep. Close your eyes. And I promise you, you will fall asleep faster. You will sleep better, 100%. That's the one tip I can give you guys, and it's going to work.
My wife likes to be on her phone before she goes to sleep, but funny enough, I would tell her this, right? But she didn't actually have trouble sleeping. And she would tell me like, it makes me really sleepy. And then I fall asleep quickly. And I was like, okay, I mean, this is one of those tips that even if you use I don't know what they call it in iOS, but where it changes the temperature of the light. So it's not blue light. It's like this warmer light. And yes, we know that that's a little bit better than just blasting yourself right in your face with blue light right before you want to go to sleep. But still, just having light in your face before you want to go to bed is not good for melatonin production. But to her credit, I mean, I guess it works because she'll be on her phone for maybe 5 minutes and then she's very tired and then she just falls asleep and she sleeps fine. So I guess you can't argue with.
Well, if it works for her, it works for her. It might work for some people.
Exactly. No. And that's the point is that, yes, for most people, that probably would not help them for whatever reason. For her, it's just like after taking care of the kids all day and doing everything she has to do, it's her way to just kind of turn her mind off and
have her time.
Yeah. Even if it's just 10 minutes, no one's asking anything of her and she doesn't have to talk and she doesn't have to think about anything and she can just like look at pretty pictures on Instagram or something,
Yeah, definitely might work for some people. So I'm not saying necessarily, okay, I take it back. It might not work for everyone, but if you're having trouble with sleeping, try it at least and see what works for you.
Something also that has helped, well, I mean, I guess for me, my issue hasn't been falling asleep. It's just staying asleep. I'll tend to wake up anyway, one to a few times a night. But for falling asleep, something that has worked nicely for me is focusing on relaxing all the muscles in my body, like starting with my face and my jaw, and then letting my shoulders drop and kind of just moving down my body, consciously relaxing everything, and then just not thinking about anything, just taking kind of slower rhythmic kind of breaths. And usually I'll be able to fall asleep fairly quickly if I do that. So for anyone listening who has trouble falling asleep, you can try that. It might help. There have been articles on the internet that have gone around, which I think it was like from some of them say like, oh, this is how military people fall asleep in 2 minutes flat, or like how airline pilots or whatever. But the method is always some version of that. And then there's also like some visualization, which I find I don't really need to do. But I think the two things were, one, picture yourself like lying in a canoe in the middle of a serene lake and looking up at the stars, right? And then the other one is like picture yourself cocooned in a black velvet hammock almost. Those two, or just repeat to yourself over and over, don't think, don't think, don't think. And those I haven't needed to do because I haven't had a problem like trying to shut my mind off. Usually it's okay. I can just lay there and not think about anything until I fall asleep. But anyway, for anyone listening who has had trouble falling asleep, those tips have worked for me and apparently are used by many other people who can fall asleep in a few minutes. I'm not that fast, but
I've actually never tried it. I have to give it a go.
yeah, the relaxation definitely will help. It just feels good. You just relax. And like for me, I never noticed when I first started doing that my jaw would always be kind of clenched a little bit and my shoulders would be shrugged up a little bit. And simply releasing my jaw and my face muscles and letting my shoulders drop down and just kind of feel relaxed, felt more relaxed than clenched jaw and shrugged shoulders.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Yeah, I have to give it a go.
Yeah.
I honestly think after I got used to the CPAP, that's kind of like just hearing that noise when it's on, that's like a sleep medicine for me. I just get so relaxed. The moment I put the CPAP on, I think I fall asleep very fast, like in probably like 5 minutes.
Nice. I don't know what the machines sound like, but I'm sure it's kind of just a white noise, something.
It's very soft, just like relaxing to me at least.
And your wife doesn't bother her?
No, she's just happy because I don't snore anymore.
Yeah, no. I guess if it's like, you got to take your pick. We can have the soothing, soft white noise or the snoring. I snore sometimes, and I've thought about doing a sleep study just for fun, just to see if it's something like that, because that could also be part of the issue as I've gotten older. Could just be breathing obstruction.
Yeah, might be.
What does your supplementation routine look like right now?
Currently, while I'm using Legion.
Shameless plug of mine, of course, but I had to ask.
I do take mostly of what I use, like on a daily basis, is the Atlas Gainer. I use it always after my sessions. I use the Pulse pre-workout before my sessions, and then I use the Recharge as well post-workout after my sessions. I do take the Lunar Sleep. I do take that before bed, and I do take also the casein before bed as well.
Okay.
So those are my main, what I use on a daily basis.
Interesting. So are you taking any sort of omega-3 supplement?
I do, yeah. Okay. I do. You guys have omega, you have the Triton.
Yeah, fish oil.
I do take that on a daily basis as well. I do take vitamin D and like magnesium and all of those stuff as well. I just forgot it because I put it always, like I have a box of vitamins where I put throughout like 2 weeks straight. I have it all in there. And I just take it with my breakfast all mornings.
Yeah, that makes sense. I do a little satchel every day. Just put my daily in a little paper towel and bring it with me.
It works great for me. I love the projects, I don't take Lunar every single evening just because on days where I feel like I need it, I won't take it so I can feel the effect.
Yep.
And when I need it, when I take it, it definitely helps me.
Yep. That was the intention with that formulation, was something that you don't necessarily take every day, but you save it for like exactly like that. Maybe you take it every other day or just a few days a week so it stays maximally effective. And I think also it is generally a good idea to not supplement with melatonin every day if you don't need to.
My sleep is quite good on a normal days, but of course you have days where you just because I want to have the routine 100%. So let's say if I'm just not tired and it's 11 p.m., I'm going to take Lunar and I'm going to force myself to bed.
Yep, that makes sense.
Because I don't want to stay up late. I don't want to like change the routine. I like to stay in a good routine.
Yeah, same. And you have to with what you're doing, because you know that, like you've mentioned earlier, that it's the accumulative effects of all the little things that you're doing add up. It's not just getting in the gym and moving a lot of weight. It's all the little things that support that. And so that comes down to the routine. I mean, there's no other way to do it. I mean, you hear about those stories here and there I don't watch American football. I don't really pay attention to American football very much, but a couple of the guys in the office do. And they've mentioned there have been some, I want to say, was it Terrell Owens? Yeah, maybe I'm remembering wrong, but there have been some specific, I think mostly wide receivers, these guys who are just super freak athletes, and they would eat just like McDonald's every day, and they wouldn't pay attention to anything, and they would show up late to practice and not really try. And they were just for a period, they were just incredibly, incredibly good. And those stories, people hear those things and they're interesting. That's more interesting. That's sexier or more glamorous than what you're talking about. But the majority of the people who are at the top of their professions are exactly like that. They have very specific routines and they could tell you on any given day and at any given time exactly what they're going to be doing. And most of their life revolves around what's essentially their work and their routine that allows them to perform at such a high level, right?
I've been around athletes like that are just like, the right word is just laziness, they're just lazy, and they eat hamburgers, pizzas, and stay up late, they even might drink in different sports, guys like that. And I've been around guys like that, and they still perform like you're just looking at them and you're just like, whoa, this guy's a superhuman, it's just incredible how good he is, or how strong he is, or how fast he is, Yeah, I've seen many guys like that in my career.
In many cases, though, right, they don't last is the thing. Usually, you don't see them performing at that level for 10 years, or they have their 15 minutes of fame, which may extend out depending on what it is for a little bit longer. But eventually, all the bad habits catch up with them, right?
Yeah, usually it's like younger athletes around 20s who can't get away with these things, and somehow they're just able to eat shit and might train okay, but they might get away with it. But when you're getting older, it will get tougher. It will get harder. And then it might be too late to try to work your ass off and try to be on point with everything.
Yeah, there's the physical side of it. Then there's also the psychological side of it, right? So if you've been very loosey-goosey with diet and maybe less so at training, but just in general, and then all of a sudden, maybe there are some injuries now and things are not what they were. There's the physical side of it. Yeah, it may be too late in that regard, but then there's also, I think it would probably be very hard psychologically to go from being so lackadaisical and so kind of freewheeling with your routine to then have to go to what you're doing. Everything needs to be very precise and very strict. And you're spending most of your time in a purposeful manner. Like you are doing the hot and cold therapy because of this reason. And you are eating these times, these foods for this reason. And everything is very regimented. For many people, that sounds like torture,
Like for me, it's just like part of my life. Doing it now for 10 years straight, I honestly love it. Generally love what I do, and that's a great thing. Even though it's a lot of work and I put a lot of time and effort into the things I do, I still love it. I love every time of it. And that's a great thing. And that's why I'm probably so successful in it, because I do enjoy working my ass off in the gym and outside the gym as well.
What drives you?
What drives me? There's a lot of different things, Probably proving people wrong in some part, the naysayers, the people that say that I can't, or those people, they might drive me. Also, my family. I have a huge support system, and having their support means a lot to me. And I want to make them proud. In general, I want to work hard. I want to achieve my goals. Those two things probably drive me the most, and I don't need anything else. I remember back in the days when I started competing, people said, Thor has a potential in winning the World Strongest Man, but he'll never win the Arnolds. Those things, when people say that you can't, that puts a fire inside them. And that's like, you're just making me even hungrier to work harder to make sure I win it, to prove you guys wrong. And yeah, I remember those days when people said that I would never win the Arnold because it was too heavy, I was too tall, my squat wasn't strong enough, my overhead pressing wasn't strong enough. And that was enough. I worked my ass off every single day to make sure that I would improve and get stronger. So one day I would win the Arnold's. And I won it first time in 2018 and this year as well. I actually dominated this year. I won 3 out of 5 events. It was quite dominant performance. It's a great feeling when you do something that people said that you would never do. That's the best feeling. And it's just this feeling of being the best at something is the best feeling in the world. I can't explain it, It's just, I thought when I would win the World Six Man, I thought, oh fuck, when I win the World Six Man, my hunger might go away, but no, it didn't. It's just the feeling of being the best, it drives me more. It's just because I know the other guys, they want to take the title away. Just thinking about it Just like so driven and so obsessed with everything. When I'm sitting on the sofa at home, just finish my meal, or sitting at the kitchen table, just finish my meal, I'm just like, what else can I do? Yeah, let's go hot and cold. Because, I'm just thinking about one thing, and I'm thinking about winning that contest, and nothing is going to stop me, nothing. And it's just like, I don't know, I'm just, in general, I'm just a very driven person. In general, I just really want to win. I want to be the best.
That makes me think of an interview with Tiger Woods when he was in his prime, when he was winning everything. And he was to the point where other professionals were complaining, basically, that this is bullshit. This guy, half the time, if he's in the tournament, we're just playing for second place.
Yeah, that's crazy. I've heard that myself as well when I'm competing. Where guys are just like, well, just have to compete for second. At that moment when they say that, I know I won the contest, because I know that they're not strong enough in their mind to believe that.
It's almost like Sun Tzu, like the battle's over before it even started.
Yeah, if they're going to tell me that, like I've heard guys that say that, Thor, you're too good, we can't beat you. That's the moment that I'm just like, wow, you just don't want to win it bad enough. You're not willing to put in the work to win me, to beat me. Well, that's okay. I'm just going to work even harder to dominate. I don't care. I'm still obsessed. I'm still in this to be as good as possible.
That's exactly basically what Tiger. So his answer, the question was like, what drives you? You're so dominant, yet you keep practicing, you keep working harder and harder, and you keep just winning more and more and more. And so they asked him, like, what drives you? And his answer was one word. It was just winning. That was it.
Yeah, that's a good answer.
And exactly what you're saying makes me think of that. And I can understand that. I mean, I've not been in that position myself, but I can imagine being in that position and that just being like the thing. You just love to win. And it sounds similar that you just love to win.
Yeah, winning is great. Losing is awful. Being second is the worst thing ever. And I've been second many times before. I placed second 3 times and third 3 times before I ever won the World Series, man. And that was, each year was just so hard. All the hard work, all the effort, that went into training was just like, fuck. Each year I just thought to myself, what can I do? What am I doing wrong? What can I improve? I guess maybe the sleeping was the thing, I improved my sleeping late 2017. And also just like with age, with years, like every year that passes, you become better and stronger, and you have more knowledge. And it's just like, yeah, like with everything in life, you become better at everything.
Do you think that part of it was your body, and I'm thinking of even your bones, having to adapt to, I mean, because that's a slow process of adapting to the types of loads that have been getting heavier and heavier over the years? A professor named Stuart McGill on the podcast. It was, I don't know, months ago. And he was just talking about that. He's worked with a lot of high level powerlifters and just mentioned that it can take many years for powerlifters. Like they usually don't start putting up their big numbers until later. I want to say even in their 30s, it takes that long for their skeleton and their joints and their tendons and ligaments, all the stuff that just the muscles can adapt quickly, but everything else, it just takes so much time to build up a support structure in the body that can handle those kinds of weights. Have you found that to be true?
Yeah, I think that's true. I feel like most of the World Series man winners, they usually win in the late 20s or early 30s. That's usually the case.
And there's obviously going to be a skill component as well. It just takes a lot of reps, right, to get good enough to.
Yeah, it takes time. I mean, I've been working my ass off for the last 10 years. It took me a long time to become the best. I feel like a lot of young guys and people out there, they get frustrated with not seeing progress straight away. You just have to stay patient with your journey. And some people, it might take a lot longer. Then you just have to work harder and you have to stay patient. And on the long run, it will pay off if you want it bad enough. You just have to want it bad enough.
Yeah, that's true. And even I'd say that applies to whether you're going to become the best in the world at whatever it is we're talking about is okay. Obviously, there only can be one person who's the best in the world at any given time. But if you are willing to work hard enough, I think that it's fair to say that anyone can get really good at anything if they're willing to work hard enough. Can they be the best in the world? Maybe not. Depends what it is and depends what we're talking about and the person and whatever. But can they get really good? Absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. I think everybody can become very good at something if they're just willing to put a lot of time and effort, be basically obsessed with it. You have to become very good at something, anything in life, basically. Some people might be gifted with some certain things, and find some things easier than others. But most of the times, if you want to be very great at something, you have to put time and effort, and you have to be obsessed with it.
Yeah, there's a bit of research out there on that from Dr. Anders Ericsson that basically just shows that when you look at really high level performing people, not just athletes, but also, I mean, he's looked at people in the realm of business, scientists, mathematicians, whatever, that also Jeff Colvin spoke about this in his book, Talent is Overrated. Talent actually just doesn't really factor in all that much, where sure, you can have some people who are a bit better at things to begin with, but if you take that person versus someone who has a little bit less talent or maybe even quite a bit less talent in the beginning, and they both work hard and they both are given the same amount of attention from teachers or mentors, so you don't have, because what can happen in sports, for example, is you have the kid who's just naturally a little bit better than all the other kids, and then he gets more attention from the coach, and then he gets to play in the better teams, and then he outpaces the other kids who weren't as good. But if you eliminate that factor from it, and then you look at people who have reached the top tiers, talent, it's a negligible factor. It's just not true that the people who are at the top of any field were just naturally the best, and it always just came easy to them, and they didn't have to work as hard as other people who didn't make it. It's almost the majority of their success comes down to a lot of the stuff you've been talking about here, is they're just doing all the little things right for a very long time, putting in the time, putting in the work, not trying to find shortcuts, not trying to cheat the process, staying patient and so forth.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So now I have to ask a Game of Thrones question.
All right. It's cool.
So I'm just curious, what was your favorite aspect of the whole experience of playing the Mountain and being involved in that show, which has been at this point probably the most successful TV series of all time?
I mean, favorite part, like acting part, for me in Game of Thrones was season 4 when I fought Pedro Pascal, Red Wyvern, and I squeezed his eyes out.
That was the moment where your character was like, oh shit, this guy is a savage.
Yeah, that was definitely a highlight. I really enjoyed shooting that scene. Even practicing it, with Pedro for a couple of weeks before was just great and came out great. I was very happy with it. Then obviously, going at the premiere, that was huge memory and great to be a part of that. I was very honored that I got that invite, that they invited me to go to the premiere with all the biggest actors of the show. So I felt privileged and I felt like honored. They wanted me there as well. I guess, the Mountain, the character, even though he's not always on the screen, he's still important character in the show.
Yeah, well, you were always waiting for the final showdown. You knew it was coming, so...
Yeah, I mean, the people that were waiting, they wanted to see... I'm just going to say this now.
I'll put in the intro, spoiler alert.
Yeah, if you haven't watched it already, then stop listening. The people were waiting for the fight between me and my brother. And yeah, finally it happened. Epic fight scene that plays in Belfast. And the most difficult part shooting that fight scene was probably the makeup. Oh, that was horrible. I had to, because the armor goes off, part of the scene. Every morning I had to wake up. You know me, I'm a routine guy, and I had to wake up at 1 o'clock in the fucking morning, every single morning for a week to do a makeup for 8 hours. And then I had to shoot all the day. And fuck, it was a torture. I hated it. I mean, I love to be a part of it, but I didn't like the progress. I didn't like makeup. I had 4 guys every morning. I had to sit still for 6 or 8 hours. And they were like just 4 guys like doing the makeup like with the small pencils, And there was so much detail and And then after all that progress, I had to start putting the armor on. In the beginning, I had the armor on. They wanted me to do the makeup because the way they were shooting it, the helmet and stuff went off.
Yeah, and you needed to see, though, through the helmet.
Yeah. On top of that, we were fighting in stairs. So we were fighting up and back, like thousands of takes again and again and again and again. It wasn't easy, to be honest, but it was worth it.
Yeah, it's amazing how much work goes into producing a show like that. I think people that haven't seen the behind the scenes don't realize that what you just said, 8 hours of makeup every day. And then I'm sure that your days were long on those days. Like, what time did you get to bed on average on those days?
I tried to go to bed as soon as I came to the hotel. Let's say if I got to the hotel at 8 p.m. or 9 p.m., can't remember exactly, depending on the days. And I got maybe like 4 maximum hours of sleep and then just work the next day. It was torture. I lost 10 kilograms in that week, even though I tried my best to eat. I remember that there were times where my wife, she was feeding me because I was maybe wearing the armor, and the armor is like, it's hard to eat with the armor and everything, you know. So she was feeding me basically between takes, because they're like, I didn't have a lot of time maybe between takes sometimes, and I had to eat. So she was just trying to feed me between the takes, and shit, it was like, it's a lot of work, but definitely worth
Yeah.
it.
How long did that go for? You lost, 23 pounds or so.
Yeah, 23 pounds.
Over
Yeah.
what period?
Over a week.
Wow.
Approximately a week. Yeah.
Wow. When you're traveling, whether it's for that, or you had mentioned you were in the Middle East, or how do you plan around that to try to mitigate the downside of weight loss or not being able to train? Your entire routine has to change, right?
Yeah, it does. It's like I meal prep all the time, and I take meals with me on the road, and then I make sure that I have a chef or a meal company that send or make meals for me. I always have my 6 meals every day, and that's just part of my job. I make sure, like, it doesn't matter where I am in the world, I make sure that I take meals with me on the plane, so I have enough for me to eat for my journey all the way to the hotel. And then I make sure that I have a fridge, microwave, and everything there. And I make sure that I can either cook or have a chef or a meal company ship me some food to me so I can stay on point with my diet. And then I always, before I travel anywhere, I make sure I find the best gyms around the places. If I have a trouble, for example, I went to Cairo in Egypt not so long ago. I was shooting a film, and I had some difficulties finding a good gym there. So I had to like search online, and I asked people on Instagram if they had any suggestions of where I could train at. I needed this and this and this. And I got some suggestions, but to be honest, not the best gyms, but I was able to do the work. And sometimes you just have to make it happen.
Yeah, no, I understand. I mean, I don't travel much for work, and my requirements for training are not nearly as intense as yours or as specialized as yours. But my version of that is, for anybody listening, is yeah, when you're traveling, if it's a hotel gym and you can make do with that, or sometimes I'll look also around, is there a local gym that I can maybe just get some day passes to or something and make that work? And same deal, is there a grocery store nearby, or with Amazon Prime, like Prime Now, can I order groceries and have them be there so I can have food to eat? Because I often get asked, especially people who need to travel a lot for their work, they would like to be on some sort of program, but they're just curious as to what's the trick. And the trick is there is no trick. It's just paying attention to all the little details.
You just make it happen, If you really want it, then and of course, you're just going to meal prep. I use these thermo boxes, so I warm up my food, put it in that, and it keeps it warm. It can keep it warm for up to 6 hours. So I have meals with me for up to 6 hours of traveling on the road. That's very handy because, I prefer to eat my food warm if I can. But if I have to, like if there's no other option, I'll eat it cold.
It would be epic for you in terms of your acting career. Amazon, they're doing the Lord of the Rings series. If there's some way, I don't know Lord of the Rings well enough. There's probably a character in there that needs to be massive and intimidating.
Yeah, it would be cool. Like I would definitely look into it. I'm always I'm going to go more into acting as well. I still want to compete. I'm competing now in World Series Man, and I want to take a small break, do some more acting. But like next year as well, I'll still compete just because I have the passion still for the sport. I really love training, love competing. So I still want to do it, even though I can make a better living on acting and the sport. It's just because of the love that I have for it. It doesn't feel like a job to me. As long as I stay healthy and have no injuries, I want to keep on competing for sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. Have you had to deal with any serious injuries along the way?
I mean, I had injuries. I had a nerve problem in my right arm in the beginning of my career. So I had to have a surgery for that. And that actually affected my grip strength a lot because one of my nerves were not working properly in my right arm. So the grip in my arm wasn't working 100%, and I lost a lot of grip. And that affected, obviously, when I was competing and my grip wasn't maybe as good as it would had been. I was losing points in grip events and so on. But now it's back to where it was like before. And now my grip is one of the best in the world, so I can't complain. I tore my quad muscle back in 2017. I did PRP injection. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, I do.
I did PRP injection, and that helped me a lot with the recovery, and I was able to. I actually tore my quad muscle. I have a picture of it where my quad was completely black,
Wow.
and they told me that I can't remember, like 6 or like 8 weeks rest time, and I was like 4 weeks out from World Series event 2017. I was like, "There's no way I have to compete." And you know me, I'm obsessed. I was looking at my options, what can I do for recovery, and then I saw this PRP injection in Iceland. It's very hard to get that. So I knew a guy in Boston, a doctor that I spoke to, and he was able to get me in like a day or two after I tore it. I booked a flight to Boston, and then after that, and did the PRP injection. Literally like a week after, I was back squatting.
Wow.
It was like the recovery progress was insane.
Wow.
It worked very well for me, at least, like with my experience. I've done PRP once, and it worked very well for me.
For people listening, it's platelet-rich plasma therapy. And if I haven't looked too much into it, but I'm getting this right? So they take blood out and they put it in like a centrifuge and they spin it. And then they get, it's like a,
Red blood
yeah.
cell.
And I had gotten a treatment on my face where they like put a bunch of needles in your face because I had acne when I was younger. And there's still a little bit of scarring, and I heard it can help. And I don't really care that much, but I was like, sure, whatever, I'll try it. And so they needle the shit out of your face, and then they do that. They take blood out, they get spun, and they pull out the platelet-rich plasma, and then in this case, they just put it on your face, and you're supposed to put it on every day. But in PRP, they're injecting it back into the area that needs recovery, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Because I think people also do it for joint issues too, right? It can help, I think, tendon issues, even ligament issues, or just joint issues in general.
I believe so as well. But yeah, I tried it once and it worked amazingly for me, obviously. I was able to get back into training like week after. I went slowly. I didn't squat heavy. Like 4 weeks after I tore it, I squatted 320 kilograms for 12 repetitions with the axle bar in the finals at the World Series Man.
Wow.
And I was super happy with that because I wasn't sure how my squat was. Like when you're 4 weeks out, that's the time when you have to really push yourself and like squat heavy and train heavy, you know. But I couldn't do that because of my injury. So I was very frustrated, part of the game. But I don't want to use the word lucky because I don't think that's the right word for it. But I haven't had any other injuries. I want to say that's because I just work hard. I take care of my body.
Yeah. And it's probably all the other stuff that you're doing to help with recovery. And it sounds like you had mentioned earlier something about alcohol. It sounds like you don't drink alcohol.
Yep. I don't drink alcohol. I don't do anything that can affect my performance. You know, if anything will make me weaker, or like I said before, I'm just very obsessed with getting better.
Even the nutritional side of things, that's going to, with how you eat, is going to impact that over time. And you mentioned some of the guys, when you're 20 and you're invincible, basically, you can get away with just eating a bunch of junk food. But eventually the micronutrient deficiencies, they will catch up with you, and especially as you get older. And so eating well for a long time, I'm sure it just makes everything in your body work better. And it's something that is, I'd say it's gaining popularity in the bodybuilding and kind of general fitness space. But for years now, it's been kind of the thing has been, oh, it's so amazing that if you just control your calories and your macronutrients, you can have a six pack and eat like shit. Yeah, sure, you can. But you only can do that for so long until it starts to drag you down.
Yeah, I agree.
What are your long-term goals? That's my last question for you. Where do you see yourself in the next 3 years, 5 years, or 10 years, or however far forward you're looking?
I mean, my long-term goal, I'm married, like you guys know, and obviously have more kids. I have one daughter from my past relationship. She's 10 years old. I want to have more kids with my wife and just stay driven and go more into acting, put more effort in my businesses that I have currently. Yeah, that's about it. I stay in the now. I don't look too far ahead. I try to work on what's going on in my life right now, and I try to make those things better. I don't worry about the future. I know that I will always work hard, at least I hope so. if you're willing to work hard, things will go your way.
Yeah, I mean, I can relate to that. It's a point of where you know that when you're doing all the things right in the day to day and you're putting in the hard work and you're paying attention to the details and you're continuing to improve, we could be talking about training or talking about business or acting or whatever. And I've felt this way myself, that it's cool to have a vision for your future, I think. And it's cool to have some kind of big, as they say, what is it, the BHAG, the big, hairy, audacious goal. But it's comforting to know that if you just keep doing everything that you need to do in the day to day, that the future kind of takes care of itself. And you don't have to, at least for me, I've never been like some kind of self-help motivational people say, oh, they write down their goals every single day. And there's a lot of emphasis on, have your dream board of all of your, put up pictures of all the things, all the trinkets that you want to have and all the vacations you want to take, and constantly looking at it in terms of stay motivated, look at the big picture. But I have found that by just focusing on the work and just kind of the daily routine and making sure that that is calibrated to an overall strategy that can produce the goal, then you don't have to worry so much then about, maybe you think about it here and there, but it's more about just continuing to do everything that you're doing because it's going to get you. At least that's how it's been for me.
I agree with everything you're saying. Of course, it's good to have some goals for the future, but live in the present and do whatever you can to make the best of it.
If you were to keep doing what you're doing, or if you take the equivalent of that in any other area of life where it's like every day the person's putting in hard work, they're doing everything that they should be doing, they're improving. And even if they'd never thought about where this might land them in the future, they never even really conceived of a clear goal of like standing on that stage or getting that business award or buying the house or whatever, they would still get there. You know what I mean? Like it just comes down to do all the right things. At least I think maybe that's not 100% correct, but I think that's more accurate than inaccurate. By just doing the right things, that is, the future kind of takes care of itself. Whereas if you flip that around and somebody is very much into like, they have to try to manifest, they have to really focus every day on their goals and write them down and look at their dream board and the universe will just reward them. It just doesn't work like that.
Like you have to focus on the present as well. You can't just dream about the future and, just get stuck there and forget about what's happening now. Like you have to make sure you're doing everything right now so your future will be bright as well. I think a lot of people might get stuck in the future maybe instead of the present.
Yeah.
But still, it's obviously, like you mentioned, it's great to have goals and passion. And there's a reason if you have a strong goal, if something that you really want in 5 years and you have a good plan to reach there, then that's obviously good,
Yeah, I agree. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time, Thor. This has been a fun interview. Honestly, I've really enjoyed it. Is there anything as we wrap up here that you want to let everybody know about? Any new and exciting things, or really anything that you want to let everybody know about?
Maybe two things. I want people to know that Legion supplements are the best supplements. And then second, I want to let people know that I'm competing at the World Supplement Competition the 13th of June till 16th. In Florida, Bradenton. If you guys are there, come support. I would love it to see you all. I'm starting off with my YouTube channel soon. I've been not great with it because even though people might not think, English is my second language. Sometimes I get shy behind the camera or interviews and everything like that because my English is not 100%. Frustrated when you're talking to a camera or saying something and you can't find the right words when you're trying to explain something or saying something, and that can be frustrating. But my English is obviously getting better each year, like with everything. I'm always trying to improve myself in every way I can. So yeah, I'm starting with my YouTube channel again, so check that out, guys. And thanks so much for the surprise. Thanks for listening. Peace and love.
Awesome. Thanks, Thor. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, man. It was great talking to you, man.
Hey there, it's Mike again. I hope you enjoyed this episode and found it interesting and helpful. And if you did and don't mind doing me a favor, then please do give this video a like and leave a comment down below. Not only do I like to hear from everybody and I jump in and reply to as many comments as I can, it also helps other people find their way to the show and learn how to build their best bodies ever too. And of course, if you want to be notified when the next episode goes live, then just subscribe to my channel and you won't miss out on any of the new content. Lastly, If you didn't like something about the show, then definitely shoot me an email at mike@muscleforlife.com and share your thoughts on how you think it could be better. I read everything myself, and I'm always looking for constructive feedback, so please do reach out. Thanks again for listening to the episode, and I hope to hear from you soon. And lastly, this episode is brought to you by me. Seriously though, I'm not big on promoting stuff that I don't personally use and believe in, so instead, I'm going to just quickly tell you about something of mine.
Specifically, my 100% natural fat loss supplement, Phoenix. It has sold over 100,000 bottles in the last several years, and it helps you lose fat faster in 3 ways. 1, it increases your metabolic rate. 2, it amplifies the power of fat-burning chemicals produced by your body. And 3, it increases the feeling of fullness from food. In short, it speeds up your metabolism, it helps your body burn fat more efficiently, and it helps you control hunger and cravings and maintain high energy levels. Phoenix also contains no artificial food dyes, fillers, or other unnecessary junk. And all that is why it has over 700 reviews on Amazon with a 4-star average, and another 250 reviews on my website with a 4.5-star average. So if you want to burn more fat every day and have an easier time sticking to your diet without having to pump yourself full of harsh stimulants or potentially harmful chemicals, then you want to head over to www.legionathletics.com and pick up a bottle of Phoenix today. And just to show how much I appreciate my podcast peeps, use the coupon code podcast at checkout and you will save 10% on your entire order.
And lastly, you should also know that I have a very simple 100% money back guarantee that works like this. You either love my stuff or you get your money back, period. You don't have to return the products. You don't have to fill out forms. You don't have to jump through any other hoops or go through any other shenanigans. So you really can't lose here. Head over to www.legionathletics.com now, place your order, and see for yourself why my supplements have thousands of rave reviews all over the internet. And if for whatever reason they're just not for you, contact us and we will give you a full refund on the spot.